What's up, everybody? Don't mind me. I'm just trying to hatch an egg for later in the Nuzlocke because things are time based, and I don't want to change the time manually, both because I'm lazy and because I don't want to. Um, but today, very random topic. It just came to me. It came to me in a dream. I figured we could talk about, like, kind of like the mechanics, as someone who used to struggle with this a lot, like the mechanics of like anger and like subsequently like forgiveness in general, because I feel like those are two things that are very like, we have a lot of opinions on anger, we have a lot of opinions on forgiveness, like everyone has their own sort of moral code when it comes to that. And I feel like I used to be someone very trapped in that, and I had a lot of good reasons to not forgive people. And like, but like, really, all it did, I'm sure people have heard this a million times, but like, it all it did was really end up hurting me. And now, like, I'm not enabling the behavior, but I'm also not like, I'm not like, good job. Like, I'm not like, how dare you? I'm gonna seek revenge on you constantly. Uh, and so I just figured we could talk about that. So like when we get like betrayed, or something happens to us but caused by another person, things of that nature, we feel an emotion that we all know as anger. And real quick, so like people often confuse anger for things that aren't really anger, because like there's this thing called alexithymia, which is like where it's kind of like emotional color blindness, where you kind of use like blanket emotions, like in like a good way to like train yourself out of this is to like use a color, not a color wheel, a emotion wheel, and like figure out like, okay, like you're using a blank emotion like mad or like sad, but like what is it really? Are you like ashamed? Are you like, do you feel betrayed, like that, like 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 what's happening here? And so basically when it is actually a when you actually are feeling anger, like, and it's not just like a blanket emotion, you're like genuinely feeling a lot of anger, like we have to understand like, why does anger exist? Because like we don't really think about this stuff. So like anger, I'm gonna like oversimplify the hell out of this, because like obviously things serve more than one purpose, and there's nuances and everything, but generally anger will give us things like adrenaline in order to act and like attack. So like, it gives us the ability to like stand up for ourselves and things like that, and also fight off things like predators. Like literally, like, so our brain, when it sees a threat, now this is being conflated um to like non-physical threats. It's more like, even if we see like an emotional threat, but we have like a signal that's like, destroy that thing. And I'm not saying it means like kill it, it means like remove it. So this will cause people to, like, it, depending on your like attachment style and things like that, like you might like run away from the problem, like you might like cut people off, you might even like, I forgot which theorist it was, but there's a psychological theorist who like hypothesized that like depression is just like anger turned towards the self. That's completely dependent on like your theoretical orientation and everything like that, like what you tend to believe in the realm of psychology. Um, but I would say that generally, um, like I would say that generally, like, it manifests in a lot of different ways. Like anger can be the source of uh like anger can manifest in you like literally attacking the other person, either physically or mentally and stuff. It's basically just like the brain's way of telling us like, this thing will bring us harm, either physical or mental. It's like we sense danger, therefore I'm going to give you anger so you can act. And so what this will do is, when we feel angry, our level of nuance literally like gets turned off. pretty much. Like like, and people will like, this is why people are like, I need to cool down, because they recognize that the brain has a state of homeostasis, has a mechanism of homeostasis, meaning it will always return to neutral. It has a natural tendency to return to a neutral state. And so waiting it out until your brain becomes more nuanced is like good. But like where people start to but like this can also, even there's even like nuances to this. So like people in society will kind of and you see this a lot with like debating culture, they will equate the level of emotion you feel with how of sound mind you are, which makes like, it makes sense to a degree, but what this does unintentionally is it invalidates emotional experiences. So basically, like, the way to communicate with these people then is to just feel no emotion and like display no emotion, and then suddenly your opinions like matter. All that does is encourage people to stop showing emotion, because like, regardless of how logical you think you are as a person, your mind is always your mind is always going to be producing it's always going to be having like chemicals of emotions firing on all cylinders, like, at all times. So like, obviously, like, different parts of the brain can fluctuate more and stuff like that, but like, you're not like more logical than another person. It's just like, if you think that you're logical because you never sense your own emotions, it just means that you're blind to it. But I've said that like a million times at this point. There's always emotional energy that's propelling you to like believe certain things, or like take certain courses of action, regardless of how much there is a logic to it. Because there's a logic to why everyone believes what they do, and it's not just, oh, because they're stupid. As hard as that may be to believe. Um, and so, um, and so essentially, anger is there to like attack what we don't like. And that way the threat will go away. That's a very overgeneralized, arguably even incorrect interpretation of it. But that's like evolutionarily what like the benefit is. It's like, it removes our nuance because we need to be on fight or flight mode when we're like, need the anger to take down a threat and everything, because we can't be hesitating when we're angry. And then um, so we'll be, it will remove our nuance, and it will give us like adrenaline, and it will like numb our pain senses. It will do all this sort of stuff. And so like, I've already stated how like, I think that it's like, it makes sense that it's like, okay, when you're angry, your nuance literally like goes down, but like, someone can be angry for a very good reason. So if we as a society are just all like, well, if someone's angry, it means that they're being irrational. Like, that is overall like bad, because then there's no, because that removes the nuance too. Like, you're contributing to the loss of nuance, because you're like saying that like, oh, if someone has an opinion but they're angry, then that equals that equals like, they don't know what they're talking about, or, oh, you're just angry, oh, you're just this, and stuff like that. We like, which is very convenient for you who don't agree with them. So like, watch out for that. Like, try and understand, like, okay, even though this person's angry and they're probably being a little bit more hyperbolic and stuff like that, is there like an air of truth to what they're saying? Like, how could this be, like, how can I seek to understand the like, the base logical root of why this person is so upset about this? Um, so that's really important to understand. Um, and so like, people often have like a really weird relationship with anger, because anger is both internally and externally stigmatized. This kind of has like the double-edged effect that like things like forgiveness, that I'm going to get into later, have in common. So like, generally the way we treat others is how we like treat ourselves internally. So like, if we have no tolerance for like, if we believe internally that we're lazy, then we are going to adaptively hate any sign of laziness, and we're not going to tolerate it, and we're not going to validate any part of our brain that's lazy. Um, and that will lead to our and like, And so, like, if someone else is lazy, we are also going to show no tolerance for that. This is like the science of things like projection. And so it's really interesting because when it comes to things like anger, we will treat other people the way that we feel about our own anger. So, like, if we aren't tolerant of other people being angry, it's probably because we don't acknowledge our own anger or allow ourselves to be angry. But, like, it's if this makes any sense, like we should all okay, cool. We evolved. Uh like we should all understand that there's like a nuance to anger. So like with anger, I can be angry and my nuance can be like objectively lower than it would be otherwise. Like, do you guys get that? Like, it can be objectively a lower amount of empathy. I mean, not of empathy, of nuance than another person, which seems like we should automatically jump to the conclusion like, oh, okay, so they're wrong. Like, but here's the thing, you can be irrational for a rational reason. So that's super important to understand. I'm going to save here. So you can be irrational for, and this leads to like, this is why people like think about how many problems have been caused because like someone refused to listen to you while you were angry, or like you have dismissed someone else's viewpoint because they were angry. It's like, oh, they're just angry. Like, it's like people typically don't have like irrational reasons to be angry. It's just that the anger itself causes them to lose all sense of nuance and agreeableness. Um, and they're very narrow-minded when it comes to the actual anger. But like think about it. So like if like a woman's husband cheats on her, then like how like she's gonna, when she's angry, lose all sense of like, oh well, maybe he had a reason, maybe all this stuff and all this sort of stuff, like, and like think about how damaging that is to their relationship to be um like think about how damaging that is to their relationship to be like, oh well, I mean, she's just angry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense, really. Like, it's like, yeah, she's angry. Don't you think she has a pretty good reason? It's like, yeah, but she's just angry. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that's not helpful because it's just like, do you guys see how like when you're like she had a good reason to be angry, but because she got angry, it's like, oh, we have all these assumptions about like her level of rationality just simply because she is displaying the emotion anger. And you know, like men have it on the other side too, where it's like men for good reason, like a lot of violence is perpetrated by men. And so I'm not saying there's no good reason to do this. It's just that, like, I don't think it's manifested in... I think it's manifested in a lot of unsavory things for society in general, and it's led to a lot of, like, resentment and loneliness from men in general. But, like, men, it's kind of stigmatized for men to be angry. And, like, I'm not saying that, like women are not, that women are not also, like, you know, I know that, like, with women, it's very much, like, you know, like, you can't be you can't be not angry because then you're a pushover, and you can't be too angry because then you're a bitch. Like there's all these levels of, like, I feel like we could do a whole thing on how it's, like, impossible to be, like, a woman. But, like, I think that men also have this, too, where, like, you are literally considered, like, dangerous. Like, if you see a man yelling at a woman, then you automatically assume that, like, he's, like, an abuser or something. But, like, if the woman is yelling at the man, then it's probably like, oh, he deserved it and stuff. So, like, we even have biases about, like, how people display anger and, like, what's okay to display and what's not. Like, what sets off alarm bells. So you really have to be careful because, like, you know, the woman could have cheated on the man. And then, like, even then, like, even if you say that, some people's minds immediately go to, like, oh, well, he probably deserved it. If, like, the woman is getting that mad, then he probably deserved it. Like, there's all these little biases. You know what I mean? Um, so I'm not saying that like any of them are like I'm not saying that like your assumption it will always be wrong and stuff like that. I'm just saying that like you need to really watch out for that and not let that completely sway like what your opinion is. Um and so yeah, like society has all these little like rules, like these little implicit rules for like healthy we have all these little rules for like healthy displays of anger, and like we're very unfair to both men and women when it comes to them showing anger. Like anger is just overall a stigmatized emotion. It's like you shouldn't really display it, and you really shouldn't feel it internally because oh look how like weak mentally that guy is. He's showing anger. He's displaying anger. Like that's so weak of him. Like, you should be like more stoic. You should be more this and everything. And like those shoulds are what invalidate the anger and just make it even worse. So yeah, like that. So anger is this really interesting emotion, but like so the way that I go about anger, at least in my daily life, is that like I also do the like let me cool down thing. Um but like it's weird. I think I have a pretty good relationship with anger now because like I'm able to like whenever I get angry at someone, even if I'm angry, I'm able to like stay in touch with myself to the point that like it's simply giving me the courage to say things that I typically would be too timid to say. And like I typically never am like I think like when anger becomes bad is when you're constantly viewing the stuff you got angry about and then you're like, "Oh, I really shouldn't have like I shouldn't have said that or I said something that was out of line or all this sort of stuff." And I think that like um and like I think that you have like a pretty good relationship with anger if like decently speaking. I can get to a caveat in a second, but like that like you can have a decent relationship with anger most likely if like you view what you said when you were angry and it's like accurately like what you were feeling and what you like want that person to know about you. Like if it just simply gives you the courage to say certain things, then like that's generally a good thing, at least in my opinion. Um I would focus on at that point I would focus on your ability to say that sort of stuff all the time because I think that like anger should not be irrational. It should be used as a tool to indicate to you like, hey, we're not being treated fairly in this situation. So like even if I'm angry at someone who like I really care about, it doesn't mean that if I display the anger it needs to be an explosion. You can actually calmly tell someone like, hey, I'm actually really angry with you right now, so I just like want to try and resolve this because like something about this just doesn't sit right with me. Like something about the situation we're in is like unsatisfactory to me. um and I think that's absolutely healthy. Like I think that's great. um and so uh like I think that much like a lot of other things, I think that what's important is like tomato. I think that like if you run away from your anger and you tell it like, no, anger, don't come out, you're not supposed to be angry, you're supposed to be happy and stuff, then it's just going to result in the anger being suppressed and invalidated, and then it's just going to come back even stronger. And so what I think you should do instead is just like get to a point where you can like acknowledge when you're feeling angry, and then just use that as a factor. Don't be it as the sole determiner of what action you take. It's like, okay, something in my head's telling me that like this isn't ethical. Like this isn't something about what's happening right here isn't right. There's an injustice happening right now. And um and then furthermore, go it, what am I trying to say? So like notice that it's just a factor and be like, okay, I'm getting a signal that I have to do this. And then like you know, sometimes I realize that I'm angry, and then I explore the root of the anger, and I'm like, okay, what makes me angry? What about that makes me angry? And then I try and see like if I'm projecting, if I'm doing all this stuff, and that's not in an effort to invalidate my emotions. It's more about finding out like, is it worth it to communicate this, or is this something that's more internal that I just need to like work through on my own? Which I think like is very hard to do for people who have very like low introspection levels. Um, it's very difficult to like assess whether or not your certain emotions are valid, because if you assess them wrong, then you're going to invalidate them. And I don't mean valid in like the traditional sense. I mean valid in like the sense that's like, should it warrant the action that it's trying to get me to do? Because if we try to attempt to like, what happens to like I'm gonna like allow this sort of like kind of like I'm gonna like allow for this sort of bias. Like, it's like, what happens when like predominantly people like men go out and they're like, and they don't let themselves feel angry? Like, what happens to those people when they're like, no, I can't feel angry. I can't feel angry. I can't feel angry because then I'm a bad person. I can't feel angry, then I'm a bad person. Do those people just like magically stop becoming angry? No, it makes the problem infinitely worse, because then what happens when you actually do end up showing anger? What happens when you're finally free? Oh my god, you've caged this beast who's resented you for holding it back this whole time? Bro, it's out for blood. Like, it's gonna wreck some stuff. Um so yeah, I like, it's not good for you to do that. So that's why I'm like, okay, if you feel anger, um if you feel anger, instead what you got to do is you have to just like gain a lot of emotional intelligence through things like therapy and whatnot, or just researching psychological stuff, and just understand when you're angry, and then just think to yourself like, okay, like, I'm really angry right now. Um and like, what do I want to do with this? Like, should this person logically know this? Like, should they be responsible for my internal environment right now? Um, like, do I think that they've legitimately wronged me in some way? Um, all these things, like, you need to like really critically think about. And that's the problem with this is why I can't give like concrete advice, because like I can't tell you like, oh, if you're feeling anger in this situation, it's bad. If you like, it just requires like, I'm more so making a stance against the idea that we should just be like um I'm more so making a stance against the idea that we should just be like, oh yeah, like, if you ever feel anger, then like don't feel anger, because that's not positive energy. We only want to feel positive energy. And also don't be like, well, I'm angry and my emotions are valid, so I want to like, so like I should tell them like they need to know that I'm angry and I need to act on this anger, because like, or else it's gonna stay festering inside me. Like, learn how to process your own emotions, but also be able to process your own emotions and then still be able to like logically understand like, okay, sometimes like making an action, like doing something about the emotion is good. This is why like emotional coping and like things that, it is both unhealthy to never deal with your emotions externally, and it is in my opinion bad to uh it's bad to always deal with your emotions internally, and it's bad to always deal with your emotions externally by like fixing something. I think both of those outcomes are like pretty undesirable, because like then if you because then if you get too um if you get too used to if you get too used to dealing with everything internally, you're never going to have like the ability to like change your external environment or make a change in your life, because a lot of emotions are there to prompt you to do changes in your life. That's like, and so like there's weirdly this negative side to being good at processing your emotions, like to the degree that like you never let them invoke action and you just wait out your negative emotions, because they're signals, they're trying to help you. And so if you just ignore them, Like, imagine, like, pain and fear. If we didn't have pain and fear, we'd probably die way more often because they're survival mechanisms. I get that they're unpleasant, but, like, there's purposes for negative emotions. So if we purely are, like, as a blanket, non-nuanced statement, just like, oh, yeah, well, I never want to, like, give in to my I never want to, like, let my emotions control me, so I'm just never gonna do anything about them. To me, that's bad because then it leads to just inaction in general, and it just leads to people getting really stuck in life whenever they're too like, you know, like, because then you might as well just not have emotions because, like, you're not catering to them at all. You're literally just like, no, well, you're an emotion. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to listen to you. Which has all sorts of other negative psychological effects. And then it's also bad to deal with all of your problems through action and not be able to like process them healthily. Because think about it. Because then if by invoking action every time, that means that your internal emotional state is dependent on the outcomes of the outside world. And to me, that's not healthy because I don't think we should be dependent on anything. Like, that's just my own personal bias and belief, but I don't think we should be dependent on the outside world. So that's why it's like, it's super hard because I can't give you like, oh, you should do like 60-40 or you should do like 70-30. Like I don't know what percentage of that is best for you. I don't think it should even be a percentage. I just think on a case by case basis, you should, I think on a case by case basis, you need to figure out what level of, like, when you should deal with it emotionally versus when you should use that emotional energy to vocalize and or make actionable changes in your environment and life in general. But under no circumstances do I think that you should resort to just one or the other. I think that that's like the easy way out of this. Like, and I don't even mean easy like it's good and it's simple. I mean, like, it will result in worse outcomes in exchange for you just, like, being, frankly, too lazy to deal with it. Like, too lazy to, like, think of what you want to do differently. And, like, how to, like, and it prevents you from actually having to do the nuanced thing, which is, like, look into why you do specific things. So if you keep either way, you're invalidating the emotion. Like, no, that's not true. Like, I just don't want people to invalidate their emotions. And I also simultaneously do not want people to, I don't want people to invalidate their own emotions. And I also don't want people to just like, let their emotions rule them. This is like the problem that everyone has, is that they can never find a healthy middle ground. It's like, oh, I can never tell whether or not I should listen to my emotions or be in control of my emotions, as if those are like two separate things. It's like, no, like that's like saying, like, how do I, like, should I, like, let my dog take me for a walk, in the sense that, you know, like, it's such a powerful dog that it's gonna be so powerful that, like, I can't control where it goes on the leash, so it's gonna, like, drag me around. So, like, should I let the dog just keep taking me for walks, or should I sell my dog? And I'm like, neither. You should learn how to, like, either build up enough muscle or, like, or get a stronger leash or something like that, get a counterbalance, like, find a way to take your dog because your dog's not getting any smaller. So, like, but I also think that people who sell their dog emotionally, in the sense that, like, they just give up on ever trying to understand the emotional beast within, and so they're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna become numb, or I'm just gonna, like, never think about my emotions or what I want anymore, and all this sort of stuff. Like, all of that, the people who do that, like, they're screwed too. Because then they're super numb, and then they end up as directionless and purposeless because, like, they don't know their own emotional state. So you can't, like, through the shirking of that, you can't have the benefit of emotion without, like, the like, huge responsibility that comes with it. And simultaneously, despite what a lot of people will have you believe, you cannot just simply get rid of your emotions and then be like, oh, okay, that's just a choice that I made. Now I no longer have emotions. It's like, no, none of that works. Like, the only way forward to a healthy life where you are both internally and externally at peace with what is happening in your life, the only way to do that is to fully become the actual master of your emotions. But when you think about becoming the master of something, it doesn't mean giving it up or letting it control you. Becoming the master of your emotions implies that you are interacting with them and not letting them control you. It doesn't mean giving them up, and it doesn't mean that, and it doesn't mean giving up and like becoming numb to them or ignoring them entirely, and it doesn't mean giving into every little whim that they could possibly have and just becoming a purely like emotion-driven machine. Like, that's not what you should do. Because I think you're screwed either way if you try and doing that. I've never met people who like do that sort of strategy and like they don't have some sort of problem they wish they could overcome. And so yeah, like that's kind of my view on anger, is that like any other emotion, there should be a healthy balance. And like we more so easily allow ourselves to fall into this sort of trap that we have where we do this thing with emotions where we either fully believe everything that they say or do that. We seem to be more accepting of that as a society with anger, because it's like, well, it's such a dangerous emotion that we have to have like an extreme response to it. Like we can't be like we can't take this lightly. We gotta really get to the bottom of this. We gotta really like pick one lane and stick hard to it, or else like, because what's the danger of nuance? It's like nuance isn't cozy. It's not like, that's why people don't become nuanced. That's why but like you guys have to also understand, like the reason you're not nuanced is a defense mechanism in general. Like, because what did I say at the beginning of this whole thing? What causes people to not become nuanced? That's right. Their emotions, their defense mechanisms, not the presence of their emotions, like giving into their emotion. So like whether you become blind to it or you totally give control to it, you're still giving control to it no matter what. The only true way to get through your emotions is to both see them directly and not give in to them immediately. And so like there's many of stress management techniques, there's many anger management techniques, there's all this sort of stuff that you can do to manage this part of you. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with this. But like, just notice that if you're not being nuanced, it's probably because of that emotion, and that doesn't mean you should choose one path or the other. You should just understand it and be like, okay, what do I want to do with this information? Like, and if your choice every single time is to be like, well, I have to do this and stuff like that, think about like how nuanced is the phrase have to. That's not nuanced at all. Like, so then notice that like in the decision making, notice when you're making the decision versus your like anger making the decision, because there is a fundamental difference between those things. So you got to be really careful for that. So yeah, that's generally my opinion on all of that stuff. I think, and so like now we come to now I want to transition into forgiveness. Since I feel like we're kind of done with like the anger portion for now. So like, how does forgiveness play into this? Like, what if forgiveness and anger have to do? Well, anger is like, and so like forgiveness is very, I'll call it unappealing to many people. Like, forgiveness is kind of this thing you do when you're like this lovey-dovey good person and you're just like all super nice and everything. And then like what do people who are really angry think of as like forgiveness, they think of like enabling. Like it's just like, oh no, like they think of pushovers. They think of people who just like let people walk all over them. But like this might sound kind of weird to people who aren't like very oriented to this way of thinking, but like forgiveness and like toleration of something or like agreeing with what they did actually have like literally nothing to do with one another. And like I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of things like very famous Mr. Miyagi quote, like if you're looking for revenge, you can start by digging 2 graves. Like, and the reason he says that is not because like it's like, oh, if you don't let people walk all over you, then like standing up for yourself is gonna do. There's a huge difference between standing up for yourself and like being and like forgive like that you can have both of those. In fact, a lot of forgiveness involves standing up for yourself. So like, for instance, like I'm just going to use the example of like, let's say like my partner cheated on me or something. So like, it's like, how could you ever forgive someone for doing that? Because like cheating is bad and it hurt me more than I can ever do this and stuff. So like, how can I ever forgive this person for doing that to me? They took this away from me. They did this, they did that. And like, I think that that's terrible. But like that's the thing, is that like you're not, it's not picking one or the other. So like someone who forgives, like if I had like a conversation with my partner and I'm like, oh, hey, you cheated on me. Like that's not cool. Like, don't do that. Like, why would you do something like that? And they're just like, oh, I'm sorry. Can we get back together, or can we do this or whatever? Like, there's like a million ways this thing could go. But like generally, but like this doesn't sound like forgiveness, but this is what the big fundamental misunderstanding is. This is why people consider themselves forgiving people or non-forgiving people, because it's like, oh, well, I have to accept that they did nothing wrong or something, or I have to just like get over it or whatever, or I have to like accept that like they're nuanced and everything, and I don't care, I hate them, they hurt me too much, or like, well, I don't want to be with them anymore, so I can't just forgive them and stuff. It's like, no, you can like break up with them and forgive them. Like, it's just about how much mental energy you spend with your hatred. And so, like, you know, like, you can literally just still break up with them and be like, actually, no, this was, like, over my line, and I'm not going to be able to trust you again, but, like, you know, I forgive you. And it's like, how the fuck does that make sense? And it's just like, well, like, I'm not going to try and seek revenge. I'm not going to think about this all day, every day. I'm simply like, I'm done. And like, when I think about you, there's not going to be this super angry part of myself that's like, oh my God, I hate you. Don't even talk to me. Don't text me. Don't call me. Don't do any of the, like, I'm just going to let that anger go and just simply be like, no, yeah, that was over my line. Like, I don't harbor any like resentment for you, and I don't like hate you. It's just simply that like you did a thing that like, that really hurt me, and I'm just acknowledging that I'm not going to be able to trust you. So like, the relationship is done, but like, I wish you the best, and I hope that like you find happiness and stuff, because I'm not going to think about you anymore. Like, I'm going to go live my own life. I'm going to go do my own stuff. Like, that's how I see that. And I've seen people do this with like, you know, like abusive parents and stuff. Like, it's it's really just about your ability to like let them affect your life and stuff. And like, be really careful about this, because a lot of people will like be really good at convincing themselves that like they don't feel any resentment, but like they do, because they're like, because like you can kind of tell by like the voice in your head and what it kind of like echoes to you. So like, there's a huge difference between being like, there's a ginormous ocean of a difference between like, yeah, no, I just don't think about them anymore and stuff. It's just like, and like, yeah, no, I never want to think about them again. Like, oh, it makes me angry just thinking about them. Oh, like that. Like, this is why I don't think about them, because it makes me so angry. Like, those people have not forgiven that person. And like, the thing is that like, what the beautiful thing is that like, your stance on cheating or whatever the person did to you is like the exact same. Like, you don't tolerate it. You don't enable it. and stuff. But like, and it doesn't mean that like you have to stay with them. You don't have any like duty to them because you forgave them. You can still go along with the exact same action. The only time I think that that's like a kind of an exception to that is I feel like revenge doesn't really, like, it's not like, oh, well, I forgive you, but I'm going to do revenge. I'm like, I would challenge your perception of your own emotions and how present they are if you are like, no, I'm going to seek revenge because I'm so peaceful at heart and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm not saying you're a bad person if you ever seek revenge and stuff like that. Like, I understand wanting to seek revenge, and I think there's a lot of valid reasons to hate people is the thing. But like, it's more, but like the reason, you know, Mr. Miyagi's like, you can start by digging 2 graves is because like he just understood that like you like let that into your life and it hurts you a million times more because you don't let it go. And so like, yeah, like, you know, that's just what ends up like really messing people up later in life, is that they just can't let it go. And then they're like, yeah, but this person deserves my hatred and stuff. And like, that's the beautiful thing that you can say, like, is that like, yeah, this person deserves my hatred and I'm not gonna give it to them. And like, also simultaneously, like, this person deserves, like when you go the exact opposite angle, this is like beautiful. This is such an important skill to learn. Like, this person deserves hatred and I'm not going to give it to them. This person does not deserve my kindness and I'm going to give it to them. And it's not going to be for them. It's going to be for me. Like, because I don't want to feed that vindictive part of my brain that is truly just like hurting. And like, revenge, everyone who gets revenge is like, yeah, it doesn't make it better. And the people who do, like, they're not at peace. Like, people who I've met who are like, yeah, I got revenge on them and it felt so good. Like, think about like how happy and at peace your mind could possibly be while having that sort of mentality. Like, I just don't buy that that's like the way to karmic debt being fulfilled, is like, oh yeah, I got revenge. And now I feel so good because every time I'm unhappy, I just think about their misery. Like, that sort of mind just does. I don't buy that that's like a healthy mind personally, which, like, I'm not saying it's a crime to be unhealthy. Like, you don't have to do everything by the book or the healthy way. It's just that like people will do things like get revenge and then be like, why am I still not happy? And then it's like, I don't know. It's almost like everyone told you that wouldn't be a good idea. Like, and that like, this is just unsatisfying. Like, sure, part of you might feel good, but like you're ultimately just like unsatisfied because like you realize that like no amount of revenge undoes what they did to you. And that's why it's like the greatest revenge you can possibly get, quote unquote, is simply just like saying like, yeah, like, that was messed up of them. I'm not going to tolerate that anymore. And now I'm just going to move on with my life. Like, it's not out of anger. It's not out of like, oh, I'll show them sort of thing. Like, it's literally just like, no, yeah, I'm done with them. I'm not gonna like let that be a factor. I'm not gonna like chase success so I can show them. I'm just gonna be like, because that's not a peaceful mind. Then they're taking away your peace. Think about how much they live rent free in your head at that point. Like, you just want, like, what is truly at peace is when you can just be like, yeah, they did that. That is a thing that happened. It was bad. It hurt me. Anyways, let's move on. Like, let's next step. What's the next step? Are we going to do, because like when you give into revenge, do you guys get that you are giving them more control? Because like what your brain, as someone who used to be a very vengeful person, like what your brain will tell you is like a very valid and logical thing. Like, no, if they don't get what they deserve, they're going to keep doing this. They're going to keep doing this sort of thing. They're going to like, because people learn through punishment and they do all this sort of stuff. And I can tell you, as someone who like used to get told off all the time and someone who had a lot of people conspiring against me and everything, and I was conspiring against them, it's this whole game and stuff. Like, I'll tell you, like, what turns people into good people is just actually like compassion and forgiveness. It's not enabling. It's literally just like, if someone does something bad to you, you don't have to like them or continue to hang out with them or any of this sort of stuff. But like, I've just found that like telling them off, I don't know if many people have good experiences of this. I'm just going off of my personal experiences. Like telling, like having this big grand shower thoughts moment where like you tell them everything you were thinking about them. Like it just leads to them getting defensive. Like I don't ever see people like getting told off and then being like, oh, you know, you're right. You're so cool. And I was so wrong about everything. And I was like all this sort of stuff. Like it's genuinely just like, oh, well, screw you. Like, it doesn't lead to anything. So, like, it's just, like, that's why I'm just, like, I actually see so much more progress with people that I'm angry at when I'm just, like, yeah, like, yeah, that wasn't cool. I'm not sure if I can, like, get past that and, like, continue to have, like, a, like, this relationship with you, like this platonic relationship with you. I don't think I can do that. Like, because there's always going to be this level of mistrust here. It's like, oh, okay, so you forgive me? It's like, no. I mean, yeah, like, yeah, I forgive you, but like, I'm not gonna like, but we're not gonna hang out anymore. Like, that's just not gonna happen. Like, and it's just like, but I thought you said you forgive me. It's like, yeah, I do. And we're not gonna hang out. Like, because what you did still isn't okay. It just means that, like, now I've let go of the anger. It's not like because then you get the, because you think that, like, your choices are either to, like, get this emotional catharsis of like, there's this hatred inside your body for them. There's this anger, like we were talking about earlier. And it's like, I hate them. I need to get this out of my system. Like, it's like a parasite. It, like, consumes you. You, like, think about it all the time. And you're like, the only way I'm going to stop thinking about this is if this happens to them. And then, like, but the beautiful thing is that, like, that's the reason you're doing that. It's for, like, resolution. It's for catharsis. It's for all this sort of stuff. But, like, people who get revenge never really get to a true state of peace because they talk about those people and they still live rent-free in their heads. They're still angry. They're still pissed. They're still all these things. But, like, the only way that they are truly free from controlling you anymore is, like, is when you forgive them and just say, like, yeah, that was messed up and you set me back, but guess what? You're not going to set me back any further. You're not going to send, because then what are you doing? You're wasting time in your life trying to get revenge on them. And then you're like, oh, I hate you because you wasted my time in this relationship that you cheated on me with and stuff. It's like, well, now they also are controlling your life after the relationship, because in order for you to feel happy, they need to be sad, or they need to like something needs to happen to them. Like, and it's just like, dang, like, I don't know. I don't agree. I just don't agree that needs to happen. I feel like there's a level we're missing here. I do not think that people need to, I don't think people need to do that. And I think that, like, you know, like, really process those emotions, like, understand, like, yeah, this really hurt. And, like, I'm really upset about it. And I'm not in the place right now where I can be like, oh yeah, actually it was okay. And just understand, like, this is the beautiful thing. Like, you don't have to say it was an okay thing for them to do. You don't have to even say that it didn't, like, make them a bad person. It's all about how much you let it control your internal and external state. And then people who are angry will always equate that with enabling. They'll always say, like, okay, well, like, you're just letting them get away with it. You're letting them do this. And it's like, think about how many times someone getting revenge on someone has done anything but just been self-gratifying. Like, think about any time someone has done that sort of thing and, like, think about any time someone's gotten revenge successfully and the other person was like, oh my God, someone got revenge on me. I should really think about the things I've done. Like, no, then they just get angry and they're like, now I'm never going to forgive you for doing this thing. And then people get in this, their life is like an anime or like a drama where, like, it's like, yeah, well, this person got pissed at me because I did this, but that's only because they did this. And then, like, now they sent this death threat to me over the phone and stuff like that. I hear about these people's lives who are, like, consumed by this sort of stuff. And I'm just, oh my goodness, everyone calm down. Like, just like, Like, let it go home. Like, that's like what I'm thinking. I'm just like, go home. Like, think about how much, like, it's like, and if you truly think that you just can't become that sort of person, it's like, I remember being that sort of person, but like, it's the hardest time to do it is the first time. The hardest time to do that is the first time. Because it's easy to forgive people who you think are nuanced. It's easy to forgive people who, like, you're like, I can see that they had a sympathetic reason to do this, or I can see why I might have been overreacting. Like, there's all these sort of things like that. The hardest people to forgive in life are the people who actually just did something wrong and it was super messed up. Like, because then you're not actually forgiving. Before then, you just logically came to the conclusion that, like, oh, okay, well, they didn't really do anything wrong, blah, blah, blah. Like, but the hardest time is when they, like, you actually realize, like, oh, no, that was actually pretty messed up. Like, they shouldn't have done that. Like, and it's like, oh, well, if they did do something messed up, then I have to think about it all the time. It's like, no, you don't. What are you talking about? No, you don't. Don't think about it. Just leave it alone. It's like, tell them, yeah, that wasn't okay. I'm really angry at you. This is your negative consequence. And I'm also just not gonna, like, I'm not gonna, like, be driven mad because, like, my life's too short to spend trying to, like, to spend trying to, like, spite you. I refuse to let you take any more of my time. You already took some of my time when you wasted my time with this aspect of this relationship or whatever. Like, or, like, whether it's, like, like, a parent-child relationship or like a friend-friend or like a romantic relationship and stuff like that, like boyfriend-girlfriend. Like, it's like, no matter what, like, it just be like that's the consequence. Like, you already gave them the consequence. It's like telling them, like, yeah, that's not a good thing you did. I don't think it's okay, and now your consequence is me like doing, you know, whatever. Like, but like, are you really the one in control if you have to get revenge on them in order to control your emotional state? I think that's giving them way more. It might feel like the justice part of your brain is like, oh yeah, we're getting revenge, which now, like, it feels so good. We're like the arbiters of justice, and now we're showing them who's boss, and like, you can't do that to me, and all this sort of stuff. Like, there's so many things like that, so many reasons it'll give you. But like, really think about, like, what part of you is that coming from? Because, like, I don't think it's the part of you that actually is, like, happy and content with life. I think it's the part of you that, like, is like there's a hurt in you and you need to cope with that through fixing it externally. And the way you fix it internally is, like, with the anger and the hatred. And you're like, oh, well, as long as I feel this anger, I won't have to feel the sadness. Just accept that, like, it didn't work out well. Like, they did you wrong. They took something from you. It was unjust. It wasn't fair. Whatever the situation is. And, like, that's just something that happened. It doesn't need to be this, doesn't need to be that. Like, it's just, we're done. It's just, I'm done doing this. That's all that needs to happen. Very, very difficult to, implement, very simple to explain. I don't ever want it to come off like I'm just like, oh, just do this. Like, it's hard. This stuff's really hard. This is why most people don't do it. Like, and there'll be parts of you'll even have relapses where like I guarantee you, like, even after you forgive the first time, it'll still be hard, like, the second time or like the third time, or you might have gotten a nice streak of forgiving up, and then, like, you'll dive back into it and you'll be like, the anger will just win some days, and it'll just be like, you know what, I'm not gonna forgive this person today. And you know what's beautiful? You don't have to forgive them that day. I'm just saying that, like, it's no way to live your entire life. You don't have to forgive anyone today. I would recommend forgiving them eventually, because I think the longer you stay in this realm of forgiveness, or to forgiveness by allowing them to walk all over you versus, like, not forgiveness, which means Texas justice. Like, I just don't think that's a way to live long term. But that's just my own personal compass and what I've found to be effective. If you genuinely think you're happy getting revenge on people and living that sort of life. Like, I have personally never met anyone who's like that, and I personally can't see the logic in why that actually makes you happy. Um, because I used to feel like it made me happy, so I guess I can kind of get why it seems like you're happy, but like I would personally actually challenge that as invalidating as it seems, because I'm kind of just flat out saying that I think you're wrong. Um, but you know, that's just my perspective. But like I can't tell you what to do. This is just my own perspective. As someone who used to live that sort of life, I don't think it's good. I just don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's fun. Like I just don't think it's good. Um And so yeah, you know, like similar with anger, just decide what the right amount of forgiveness should be for like this situation. Like, what can you give? It doesn't have to be black and white. It doesn't have to be either I seek revenge or I allow them to walk over me. Just be like, okay, can I forgive them a little bit? It's like, okay, yeah. Even that, but that, like, your brain's not going to like that because it's like, oh, that doesn't manifest in any specific emotions, so it's useless. But, like, literally just think to yourself, like, okay, like, can I forgive them, like, 10%? And, like, maybe, like, we can hate them in secret, but, like, we don't have to, like, you know, we don't have to, like, sabotage them or something like that. Can we do that? Can we do that? And it's like, okay, sure. It's like, okay, can we not think about them all day and be angry about it? It's like, no, I'm not in a place where I can do that. I'm so angry that's overwhelming. It's like, okay, then we can be mad about it today. In the worst cases scenarios, just like give yourself permission to be angry, and that's like how you're gonna like, and that's healthy too. I'm not saying that like in order to be happy you need to forgive them today. I think forgiveness comes after you've felt the anger and you've grieved the loss of what they took from you, whatever it may be. And then just like the forgiveness stage just comes when you're like ready to move on, and when you're just like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm not doing this anymore. You're not going to control another second of my life. I'm moving on, as I'm going to deal with what you left behind, and I'm going to just prevent that from happening in the future because you're not going to be in my life anymore. And I'm just going to live my own life. And I think that that's beautiful. I think that everyone can do that. It'll just take a while, but whatever you do, don't beat yourself up for not being able to forgive them today. Go at your own pace, process the emotions, and one day, hopefully, you can gain some ground and eventually forgive them. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm pretty good for today. I think that we talked a lot about anger, talked a lot about forgiveness, and to kind of tie them together, I think. I just felt like they were topics that should go together because I think the way that you deal with both of them is very nuanced, and I think there's a lot of stigmatization on both of them. Like, a lot of people have black and white opinions, like, oh, I'm a forgiving person or I'm not a forgiving person, as if, like, you can as if it's not variable and situation dependent. And it's like, oh, I let my anger control me, or I don't let it control me at all. Like I push it down and I push it down and only until it explodes and stuff like that. Or I'm just numb to my emotions. Like, I think that a lot of problems in life get caused by us treating emotions like they're binary. Like, you have to have it completely consume you, or you have to like you have to be this sort of person. Instead of focusing on like what sort of person you are, focus on like, what can I do today? How much can I forgive someone? How much can I work through my anger? How much can I work through this stuff? Like, what can I do with what I have right now? And then all these shoulds and buts are going to come up, but like, that's okay. All right. I'm done. I'll see you guys later.